A big matchup that I was definitely looking forward to, kind of let me down a little bit, was Packers versus the Lions. Obviously, you know, you get Micah Parsons on the Packers a week before the season starts. You never really know what that is going to look like. Was his back actually hurt? Was he doing it to spite Jerry Jones? Was he really trying to get traded that bad? Well, if you saw him chase down Jared Goff in the fourth quarter, had nothing looked wrong with his back at all. The guy's getting double teamed still. He's lining up on the nose tackle. He's lining up outside, inside. I mean, he's one of the most versatile defenders we've ever had in the league. Obviously,
Yep.
people want to get on him about his run game defense is not the best, but like that's not what they're paying him for. He's also not that big to be taking up space. He's not Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's a one of one, and nobody that size is ever going to be able to play defensive tackle the way that he did. But
Mind you, the NFL is a passing league, so
right,
let's not.
exactly.
Yep.
And speaking of passing, Jared Goff goes 31 for 39, 225 yards, a touchdown, a pick. Here's my thing about Jared Goff, and I was saying this last year, and he had that game where he completed like 20 passes in a row or something like that, or 24 in a row. It seems to me ever since then, he's like it's almost like the basketball player who's kind of checking the box score to see how many assists or rebounds that he has, like the points, whatever. But like, how many assists, how many rebounds do I have so I can make this look better? 31 for 39 is if they're gonna keep playing that way. If you complete 31 passes and only have 225 yards,
Yeah.
what are we
Yeah.
doing? Jameer Gibbs has 10 receptions on 10 targets. So it's like, okay, if your running back's gonna get 10 of those, and Sam Laporta is gonna get 6 or 7 of those, you're not really throwing the ball and spreading it around like you would think, or maybe like the box score suggests. So I would like to see Jared Goff stay away or get away from protecting that completion percentage. He may not be doing it consciously, but what it looks like out there is that he's not taking those risky plays. And maybe that's what the coach is telling him to do week one. Maybe that's what they want him to do, but that's not going to win them any games. They have to go vertical, and they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like they have guys. They have real guys that can convert third down.
Jameson Williams. Yeah.
Jameson Williams just got paid. St. Louis just got paid $84 million extension. They have the guys. So for you to go 31 for 39 and only have 225 yards, something's wrong there. And I don't know if it's coaching, but I think just from my guess, I think that he's looking at that completion percentage a little too hard and not taking any risks.
Let me ask you. You have Jared Goff goes from I don't remember when he was in St. Louis. I don't remember who the offensive coordinator was. It ended up being Sean McVay at the end. Then you have Sean McVay, and then you go right into the hands of Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have two like superstar offensive like schemers, guys who
Yeah.
will you put them in a room and it's just like electrons flying everywhere. They're drawing up the craziest things you've ever seen. So you have a brand new offensive coordinator. Also, team has a brand new defensive coordinator as well, it needs to be said. You lose your center and a guard. So 40% of your offensive line is now different than it was last year.
Mm.
So you lose the guy calling the plays, you lose people protecting you. Like what more do you want from him? I think that this is a game where you'd hope your defense would step up and hold that, make it tighter, and then you let the Packers be the Packers. Hopefully they mess something up. Jordan Love throws a stupid interception. Like you hope that happens, and then you can
Which
kind
he
of win the
did.
game at the end. And he didn't. But it's like that's the identity of the Lions became a high flying offense.
It
But
did.
like,
Yeah.
but who Dan Campbell is not that. And so this kind of goes back to like the Kirby Smart old Nick Saban way of coaching, which is just don't fuck up my game plan by giving the ball to the other team. Be safe and then let the defense win the game. And if the Lions want to get back to that, they certainly can. They have the talent to do that, but it's going to be difficult. Yeah, again, replacing two coordinators on both sides
But
of
at
the ball.
what point? Because I think we saw this when he was in Los Angeles as well. I think that's why the Rams were so happy to get off him and go to a guy like Matthew Stafford, who's willing to make those throws and willing to take those chances. And you saw what happened. The Rams won a Super Bowl because the team was ready. They needed a quarterback that wasn't really trying to play safe. And now I think the Rams have a roster where, like, if they had, this new Jared Goff, they'd probably be all right. But
Sure.
because he's not turning the ball over. But for the Lions and for what Jared Goff needs to be, 10 receptions to your running back, like that's just not going to cut it against a team like the Packers, who Jordan Love goes 16 for 22, 188 yards, very modest, but he just didn't have to make mistakes. And I think that's Jordan Love has kind of transferred into that position now where you talk about don't fuck up my game plan. Well, the defense is there, the secondary is there, the running game is there, the offensive line, everything is there for Jordan Love to just not mess it up. And I think he's in that position now where Aaron Rodgers wasn't really even in that position where Aaron Rodgers goes 16 for 22, 188 yards. They're definitely losing the game.
for sure. And I don't I if you're asking Jared Goff to be a big shot taker, then you just have the wrong guy at quarterback. And I don't know that he ever really was that. It's just the offense had so many guys, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like you get the ball in their hands and they do take it the distance. A lot of that is just scheme. And so I don't know if Jared Goff is now what could have been the game plan too is that front looks nasty from the Packers. So let's
Yeah.
get the ball out left and right to our running back a little bit, get him in
Right.
space. Let's get these guys moving, wear them out, and then maybe we can gash them at the middle. It didn't work out that way, but like that could have been the game plan too. Here's my thing about the Packers, and it's been this way since LaFleur was there. He puts together maybe the most beautiful first drive of anybody in the league.
Him and Shanahan are probably on
A
that
lot of
same.
coordinators do a great job at this. McVay will do it too. Like they put together, I mean, just the most beautiful. Like, damn, I about to score 50 today,
Right.
and then they just do nothing. And so, like, again, they score 10 points in the first quarter. They go 7 points in the second quarter, none in the third quarter, and then they score 10 in the fourth. And so I look at a team like the Packers. You say they're ready, except for can Jordan Love be the guy? I think Jordan Love has to like take another step and
For
go
sure.
288, 300 yards passing. But I think LaFleur and the way that he coaches, I don't think that he specifically adjusts very well. Maybe they just outman the Detroit Lions today or yesterday, but I don't know that Matt LaFleur is the guy that can coach and get his team over the hump. I know Kyle Shanahan hasn't won a Super Bowl, but like he might end up getting there. I don't know if LaFleur is the kind of coach that will win you a conference championship and get you the Super Bowl. I don't think that he adjusts well enough. And so that'll be a storyline that hopefully we can follow throughout the year, which is great fast start, 17 points in the first half, like cool. And then you're really cool off in the third quarter. Just the Lions only scored 3 points in the third
Right.
quarter. So like they didn't take advantage of it. So like we'll have to see where that really ends up with them. Because I don't trust LaFleur and his play calling when a team makes adjustments and takes away what obvious holes or gaps that he's figured out how to exploit.
Right. So let's take just a brief look at Jets versus Steelers and then Rams versus Texans, two of our teams that we root for. Justin Fields, 16 for 22, turning 18 yards, has 3 total touchdowns. Looked like the best version of Justin Fields that we've seen in the NFL so far, to be honest with you. I think that's just the total trust in him and the confidence that you've given him. Like, hey, there's not anybody behind you that's about to take your spot. I think that's kind of the position that he's always been in the league. And it's just like, he had the year with the Bears, and then everybody was kind of off of him, and then he goes to Pittsburgh and starts off really well, but still gets benched for Russell Wilson. So now he's on the Jets, a team that has no plan for anybody behind him. He looks like he's going to be the QB for a couple of years now, going against who the Jets just had, one of my favorite players, Aaron Rodgers, who goes 22 for 30, 244 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And to me, Aaron just looked like the version of Aaron that we would need on the Jets. And that is, he can't really move, but he's still really accurate and he looks just healthier, like a healthier version of what he looked like last year. And last year he ended the year really, really well, like underrated, probably a top like 6 or 7 quarterback to end the year. If you're not talking about wins and losses, just the way that he looked, he picked it right back up. And I don't know how good the Steelers can be, but if this is the version of Aaron Rodgers that they're going to get, and I don't know if they will get this all season, but if they can get that version of Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that makes them competitive in the AFC North.
I that was one of the most shocking games I think I've watched as a
It's
football
one of the
fan.
most shocking games I've ever seen as a Jets fan. The simple fact that we scored 32 points and didn't win. Like that never happens.
And you look at that and you go, well, I look at Justin Fields and I'm not going to say he's going to play to that level every week, but if he were
It's
to,
capable.
first off, he'd be in an MVP conversation. And
Right.
he's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the league if that's the production that he gives you. Huge arm. He's one of the best athletes on the field. He's accurate and he doesn't make a ton of mistakes. And his teammates love him. So that's
Right.
a guy where I'm like, you're hard not to root for a guy like that. So I really do hope he turns it up. And then I go the other side. I got the Steelers. I got Aaron Rodgers, who just like, I mean, got the old man chin strap, You know, he just back there, doesn't move a whole lot, and just darting the ball
Right.
around. Like just classic. He did his Aaron celebration too, little Mario jump, like just back to his old ways. And you watch that and you just go, it's a lot of fun. Now
Right.
the real concern about both of I think these teams is the fucking head coaches are defensive coaches. And it was almost a 70-point score total across
Right.
the game, and both teams scored 30. So like that's kind of a concern. My quarterbacks are playing, let's just take a 1 week sample. Amazing. Fantastic. And they didn't make a ton of mistakes. They played incredible. I think everybody watching thought, I didn't think Aaron Rodgers would go. That was the best game he's played in 2022. I think he'd play that well. I think Justin Fields could even do all of that. And the defense has let him down. Against a better team, that's a loss for both of them. And
Oh
so
yeah.
that's the only concern that I have for both of those teams is my head coach is a defensive guy, and I let the other team exploit every opportunity they had to beat us.
Well, as a Jets fan, I'll say this: their defense is approaching the. Here's the parallel, an NBA parallel of a guy who has gotten the reputation of a really good defender for years, and then like if you really looked at break down the film and the stats, like this guy's actually been a, either below average or just an average defender for the past couple of seasons. But because he had 6 years of great defense and one on like checking guys and taking guys cookies, like oh he's the Kawhi Leonard syndrome at this point. Kawhi is a great defender when he wants to be, but there was a little bit of years where like in the first couple of years of LA, he's like this guy's getting blown
Clay
by.
Thompson
Like
was like
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. And so the Jets defense is not good. It's not good. Last year, it wasn't good, but it was like, okay, maybe the offense is not giving them any help. No, the defense is not good. Sauce Gardner, I mean, his first 2 years in the league is probably some of the best football you've ever seen
He's
from a
golfing
quarterback.
now. He
And
don't care.
now he's kind of just whatever. Quincy Williams, Quinton Williams, the two brothers on defense who are probably the two best players, they look good, but they don't look anything great. You lose DJ Reed, you lose some other guys on defense that were just a big part of setting the tone. And you're about to go through 2 straight years of people thinking that the Jets defense is great. And then you look up and the other team has 30 something points and it's like, well, what happened? Because it's clearly not the personnel. And I don't know really what it is. It's just a 1 game sample size, but that Jets defense is not a bookmark for this team. It's not something that they can hang their hat on. And that's the most worrisome thing for me about Justin Fields is that maybe he thinks going into this situation like, hey, I have a defense that can kind of carry me a little bit when I'm struggling. Not so fast, buddy. Not at
So
all.
then what's the point of hiring Aaron Glenn? And how long does he last? If that defense is bad, like if
Well,
they're actually bad,
I think he sets a better tone than somebody like a
Robert
Robert
Saleh?
Saleh.
I mean,
I
yeah.
think you get a guy in there and it just changes the overall tone and attitude of everybody in the building, not just the players, but the staff, training staff, the GM, expectations of everybody. Somebody that is just established and we know what this guy brings to the table. And maybe Glenn is not the right guy for the Jets, but at the same time, you're kind of running out of options as far as what it is because it's going to be a personnel issue at the end of the day. I don't know, like you say, if Justin Fields can keep this up, it's small sample size, but if he can give you 6 to 10 incompletions a game and not throw that many picks and not fumble the ball, it's better than the production we've been getting in the past.
If he
And
gives you 80% of what he just gave you, like your guys are
that's a win.
that's a playoff team with the defense that can get
It's
a
at
few
least the
stops.
second best team in the division. I will
Well,
say that
yes,
Right.
but like that might be a second. There might be the second best team in the division, like
by default
easily.
right now.
Like
Right.
Patriots stink and Miami Dolphins are garbage. So like Aaron Glenn he's another guy. He has 2 years. He has this year and he has next year. If Justin Fields plays well, and to be fair, he could be the reason Justin Fields does play well and we just don't get to
Correct.
see it. But like he gets 2 years. If Justin Fields is playing well and that offense is clicking and they're still giving up 25 points a game, 30 points a game, then he's not going to be for long on that team as a head coach.
Just one quick stat that I kind of paid attention to. Aaron Rodgers, he completed the ball to 7 different guys. And then on the Jet side, Garrett Wilson goes 7 for 95. No other wide receiver or tight end went over 40 yards, and no one else had more than 2 receptions. So you're going to have to start scheming guys open. I know it's very hard to do in the NFL, especially with guys that don't have that much talent. And considering Garrett Wilson is wide receiver number 1 and 2, it's going to be very hard, but you're you're going to have to spread the ball around to more guys. And I think like DK Metcalf had 4 receptions, Calvin Austin 4 receptions, Pat Fairmouth 3 receptions. Like that's the type of stuff that you need to see from a quarterback. I don't care who he is in year 4 or 5. And so that's my biggest challenge for the Jets is on offense. Brees Hall has 19 carries for 100 yards. Kind of expect that from him at this point. And
Sure.
so can Justin Fields really spread the ball around and can he get to 2nd and 3? Can he get to 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2 like these other quarterbacks do? And then you use your legs when we need it. And
Well,
that's what he's going to do.
and I agree with that. I was just gonna say I think him using his legs is going to be kind of that game breaker. He's not Lamar Jackson,
Right.
but he's second to nobody else. And so I would put him in a place where if he can just get comfy in the pocket, and he was in the pocket comfy all day. If he can
Even with an
continue to have
obliterated
that,
offensive line, yeah, he looked good.
horrible. He looked fantastic. And so if that's the Justin Fields that you get, and then you get the special, if he could be in the pocket pretty good, and then you get the out of the pocket stuff where he's taken off, then you can kind of by committee win a lot of games and be at that. We might make the playoffs, which would be a humongous like win for the organization. And then the next year you have something to really build on, kind of like the Detroit Lions, like a few years ago hiring Dan Campbell. It's like got this guy, kind of a goofball. We'll see what happens. All of a sudden, like they're beating the pants out of everybody.
Right. Rams versus Texans. Your squad, the Rams. Matthew Stafford coming into the season with a bad back. I mean, a bad back that might be the
Bad.
worst injury anything. I mean, you wake up in the morning, your back is sore. It's fucking up your whole day. He goes 21 for 29, 245 yards, and a touchdown. CJ Stroud, 19 for 27, 188, no touchdowns, and a pick.
Huge Rams fan, like been that since we've been born. It's just the way it is, even though I left St. Louis. I looked at what CJ Stroud was doing with Bobby Slowick. I love a quarterback OC combination. It's hard to see one have success without the other.
Without the other,
And so
yeah.
we'll see what Ben Johnson does with Caleb Williams, but and we can get to that later. But they part ways with Bobby Slowick at the beginning of this year before the season started. And now I get this slow start offense that has 9 points against the Rams team that, to be fair, the defense is okay, but they're not that good. And the
Right.
Rams are going to be just an okay team this year and squeeze out a few wins here and there because Matt Stafford's just that guy. But I need more. And so I'm looking at this team and thinking, I'm not sure where the production comes from. I get 3 field goals out of a game where, again, the defense isn't great. There was no weather, no inclement weather. I wasn't playing an offense that was scoring 30 points. This is just kind of one of those games where it's like you wake up in the morning, you rub your eyes, you're like, fuck, it's kind of cold outside. You kind of just half-ass it. That's what it felt like. And I'm concerned for CJ Stroud in that offense because I don't know where they go from here if that's what it looks like against the Rams. And I love the Rams, but I don't know if that's what you should be expecting
Right.
week after week.
So for the Texans, you have
I got
Dalton
Nick Chubb.
Schultz, 3
You
for
got
28. Yeah, Nick Chubb, 13 for 60. But I mean, CJ Stroud is going 5 for 32. And then everything after that is kind of just, there's not really much production. Nico Collins, 3 for 25. Damian Pierce didn't do anything. Obviously, Tank Dell, who is out, is a big missing piece from for Houston.
that's fair.
They need to. They're going to have to do something. If Tank Dell's going to be out, then that offense needs to get a little bit. It needs to get a little bit more complex because you're relying on Dalton
What are
Schultz
what are
and
you relying
Collins.
on? So looking at this, let's just look at the averages. Okay. Receiver averages 16 yards, 15 yards, 9 yards, 13 yards, 8 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards. Nobody, nobody had a big one over the top. Not
Right.
one. And so if you're going to be an offense, and this is the thing about offense that some coordinators fall into this. So some quarterbacks, like a young quarterback or a shitty quarterback who's not very good, can only throw the ball to the outsides because you're typically reading one defender. Like if this guy does this, then I do that. It's super easy reads. You want all your young guys to roll out, read that defender. If that flat guy, if he carries underneath, if he comes down and over the top, like it's super easy to read. The other thing that you get is you get an offensive coordinator who's kind of shitty, who can scheme up guys to run like in breaking routes. And so you get a bunch of passes over the middle, like our digs or maybe even outs at times, where you're just attacking the middle of the field a little bit, but you can't get over the top. And so the defense just says, okay, you can have 8 yards on a catch. You
Mm,
can have 10 yards. That's fine. You're not going to keep doing this to us over and over and over. Eventually, you'll fuck it up. And that's exactly what they were doing. That's why they had to punt so many times. And
right.
so I'm looking at the offensive coordinator. I got Nico Collins, who maybe one of the fastest receivers in the game, and
Yeah.
he's not getting over the top. He has 3 catches for 25 yards. Like, what is that? And so I don't know if the new offensive coordinator they have is the right move. And so at time to time you see this where like a team or a guy as an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator just wasn't like that good at the end of the season or beginning of the season. And so you move off of him and you realize it can get a lot worse. And I think
Right.
the Texans are kind of finding that out right now.
That's a good point. Like I said, Devontae Adams, who didn't even really have that big of an impact in the game. Kyron Williams, 18 carries for 66 yards. I expect him to have another good season. He just runs the ball really hard. Kyron Williams is just, another St. Louis guy who he's just going to be a mainstay in the NFL. Like some guys you could just watch and be like, okay, yep, this guy's playing 10 years in the league. And so just good to see him. Blake Corum only had 1 carry for 2 yards. They're going to have to do something about that going forward because they can't just rely on one back. Uh, Jordan Withington, he's a receiver. It looked like he got a jet sweep, 1 carry for 5 yards. Like Matthew Stafford getting sacked a bunch. Puka Nacua had 1 carry for 1 yard. Just they're going to need to figure something out in the run game for them to be successful because as much as I wanted to dog on the NFC West before this season, it looks like they're going to be pretty competitive because I think the 49ers can be good. I think the
We'll see.
Seahawks can be good. And then
Yeah.
Arizona has the week 1 win against New Orleans. I mean, the Rams are in an interesting spot where it looks like the 49ers might be the best team right now, but I think the Rams have the highest ceiling. It just kind of depends on the health of Matt Stafford and what exactly you're going to get from Puka and Devontae each week.
Well, we know that the 49ers struggle with like health. I don't know what it is about the water over there, but
Right?
those guys
Yeah.
just get hurt a lot. And like when Christian McCaffrey played, but like he's a shell of himself. It kind of stinks to watch at this point. Brock Purdy made some weird decisions, but he played decently. Seattle, like we'll see what Darnold can do long term.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. And then the Arizona Cardinals, like they're going to be fine until Kyler Murray gets hurt or something weird happens and he just like doesn't play well. So the Rams are always in a spot with this division being like as kind of just weird as it is. They're always going to be like second. Can they get to first potentially? This is not
Right.
a Super Bowl winning roster or a deep playoff run roster either. And your quarterback is older coming into the season with a like weird back issue that nobody really talked about. It's kind of like swept under the rug a little bit in the offseason. So I don't know. I'm thinking like 8, 9 wins with this team would be a win. And then you have to start building for the future. Matt Stafford probably gets traded and you bring in somebody young. Maybe you draft higher and get somebody. And then Sean McVay just runs it back with, a new set. I don't know that this team is equipped to do that. And I don't think they can get there either.
Right.